Right, YouTube. Today here on Politically Black, hosted by Drew, we have a story from the Colorado Herald. BLM advocates murder of a white 3-year-old. I love the Colorado Herald. A little background on them was that they were a different name. I think it was like, I don't remember. They changed their symbol. They did a whole rebrand. They were not super left-leaning, but they were more centrist, more center-left, I would say, in all fairness to them. That all changed when my governor told them in an interview, well, I didn't know about the tense situation with the homeless people in Denver. I thought they'd voted to allow camping in Denver. I don't keep up with Denver politics. The I don't keep up with Denver politics is verbatim. It is a direct quote from Jared Polis, who we in Colorado are not fond of anymore. But he's kept the state closed. He is just, sorry, the dog does toys and the dog plays with toys. He's kept the state closed and he's kept it in financial ruin. Let's just take a look. Ariel Robinson, a former educator, and her husband Justin are charged January 20th in the killing of their 3-year-old adopted daughter Victoria Smith. The Robinsons were charged after a January 19th call to the police for medical incident. Victoria Smith was pronounced deceased of multiple blunt force traumas to her head. Ariel Robinson was a contestant on the 2020 Worst Cook Show in America on Food Network. She was also a comedian who tweeted about racism from her Twitter handle. That little tiny blurb says, "In my house, black children get treated the same as white children, and my white children get treated the same as my black children. It's a shame that when they go out into the real world, that won't be the case. White privilege, Black Lives Matter." Robinson's BLM advocacy hasn't been reported much by the mainstream media, but if the situation were reversed, the outcome in the media would be disastrous. 2 Proud Boys advocates killed black 3-year-old. The riots of 2020 wouldn't hold a candle to what would ensue if 2 ultra-right-wing activists murdered a black toddler. After tweeting about racial disparities in their home for months, the tweets Robinson sent out to her followers painted a picture of a racist BLM woman who hated her daughter for being white. Robinson, a comedian of sorts, is an angry person, mostly angry with white people. Ariel Robinson's Twitter reads, "Like a loving obituary for all black criminals who disobeyed police commands and were shot by police in the last 3 years," which is a popular way of thinking in 2021. Twitter considered the crime could be considered racially motivated. The Robinsons are both charged with murder by child abuse and will both receive bond hearings February 12th. 2 black parents, both BLM advocates, one of which used her platform to complain about what she construes as a constant racism problem, adopted an innocent white toddler who depended on them for everything. Those BLM advocates later killed innocent 3-year-old Victoria. And again, this was via blunt force trauma to the head. If 2 Proud Boys or 3%ers adopted an innocent black child, frequently tweeted about racism and the disparities between the black child and their white children, then later viciously murdered her, you might have heard of the story by now. There would be robust news coverage nationwide, riots, CPS buildings would be burnt to the ground, and AOC would be tweeting about it. That ain't wrong. That ain't wrong. These faces, these 2, here, let me help y'all. These 2 faces are not the face of black excellence. BLM does not define me because look at the people that BLM defines, it's criminals. It's always criminals. Criminals. And you know, they're going to be on trial, but I think the record stands pretty clear that they're criminals. And you know what? The book of public opinion, the court of public opinion, we're just going to throw our book at them as far as the black people side goes. They're guilty. 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 Guilty as charged. And here's why. You wouldn't have killed this little girl if you weren't so racially motivated. If race didn't rule your perspective, if race didn't rule your world, you wouldn't have killed this little girl. You wouldn't have. You just wouldn't have. You couldn't have done it. You know why? Because you would have seen a child and not a white person, but you saw a white person. I hope you both get locked up with the people who have violent crime records as well, and I hope that they get you back. Whew, because jail will treat you worse on the street, than like worse than General Pop that could ever treat you on these streets. I'm telling you, especially when you murder children, when you hurt children, you go into jail, they gonna kick your ass, kid. They gonna beat you every night, and she looked like the type. That angry face right there. This hateful, malevolent face right there. And you know what they're thinking? You can see it in their eyes. Damn, if I was white, I wouldn't have gone down with this one. If I killed a black kid, you can see what they're thinking. You can see it. It's hate. This right here, that look in their eyes, it's hate. It's what it is, plain and simple. It's hate. But this is going to be me signing off here. I hope y'all have a good day, a good week, a good year. This is some breaking news. Tragedy. I don't think that it should have taken this long. Not for the Colorado Herald, that they're a secondary reporting source, so they get the information. They put it out as soon as they can in many cases after many write-ups, I'm sure. They haven't brought out a story that was verifiably false since they used to cover Jared Polis, which is where I think they switched their whole arrangement there. They seem to have taken a general stance as a page to get away from more political news unless it's not really for the people. And I don't know, it's really good to see a newspaper or a news organization. This is an online news organization, and if I'm not mistaken, they started through Facebook, but they're growing, and it's becoming more of an actual popular news source, and it's really good to see.